Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
In the world of creation, we had the two extremes, except in the case of the Creator and Mitra, where we could never bring the functionality of the soul within the functionality of physicality. We had the physicality hidden within the soul, or soul within the physicality, or in conjunction of the two, one would never have the understanding of the totality, where we could transit but exist in both directions. With the new cycle, this is what Einstein said: when you turn one atom, the other atom changes. This new dimension will blow that field which commonly exists between all the cells of the universe into that position, which means all the created things, as a gift from the Creator in a way, become able to transmute between the two dimensions. There's a reason for this, and it's taken a long time for it to be done, and it has reached its pinnacle and it will be completed. It's already in the process of being completed. Was to take from the essence of the soul of every created things of the time, beginning of time, an essence of the creation of the soul or the center, and create a new creature which carries all the essence of the created in the new soul, which can with it go from the soul of the Creator to the soul of physicality of Mitra. This is what the whole knowledge is. The Creator is the universe, and Mitra the dimension of physicality and its behavior towards the dimension of physicality. And with a new system, every creature in the universe will have the understanding of the capability to transmute between the two. This has a lot of implication for all races in the universe, because now they all become the same. In the coming time, we will see even change in the position of galaxies, position of universes. Many systems will move due to the changes which has been brought. Man doesn't have that knowledge as such to monitor, but we'll have the knowledge to see, we'll have the time to see. that with the new fields, as we call it, a lot of things will move in the right position to keep that ability to change between the two. That you don't need to kill to keep the physicality going, you don't need to steal. And the soul does not need to be engaged or to escape, to be out on its own, to be able to confirm its existence. And this this process will complete very soon. That the whole of universal community will be able to have the benefit of the two, both in the dimension of energy or matter, which never existed. When we released the soul, we had to get rid of the physicality. You call it death. When we brought the soul, you had to give it the physicality, and you go through the dimension of the birth, and then you have the whole commotion of bringing the two. With a new system, both soul and the soul of physicality work together in the existence of dimension. We expect a massive change in the physical characteristics of human race in the coming century, because we change into the emotion of the physicality. The way, as I said many times, but many never understood, Indians and Pakistanis were the same, till one chose to take different kind of energy in the other one, and we see change of the feature. Now, with the balance between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of man, many of us will change feature, without a shadow of a doubt. Man will change the faces of anger, man will change the faces of hate, man will change the face of warmongering, because we get satisfied in the fields of it. And this is part of what will be and what has already started, and the completion of will be the birth of Mitra. Physical completion of birth of Mitra in a physical dimension, not in myths. And then we have the soul of the Creator, which the two will complete the cycle. And then, as I said very recently to one of the listeners, then we'll see if Adam will eat from the apple of love and giving it. And then we'll see how humanity will change. And the whole creation will change. We are at the verge of that change. Much, much closer than anybody could think of, not only a human race.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 449th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 8th, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host today once again in these weekly Knowledge Seekers Workshops. And once again, we have the honor of being present with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and he will be presenting today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe, are you ready to go?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Keshe Foundation. Welcome you back, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit more, as usual, from each other and together. Today, we're going to go in a deeper understanding of the transformation and transmutation. How do we transfer and how we transmit? And this is, in a way, important to understand, as next week we start the transmutation systems. Hopefully our team will put the last pieces together, which is getting done. All the cabling is done. It's just control panel to be added. And then we attempt to move man with a new understanding of the world of creation. Will we succeed? And how much we'll succeed, I'm sure will depend a lot on our understanding of totality and how we set our systems and how willing the passengers are. People might come in with a willingness that they want to be the first people to be tested for translation from one system to another, but the soul says, no, doesn't matter. Whatever you do, I'm not moving because I'm not ready, because you're not ready, because whatever reason. So we look into the totality of the structure. We are set out to break new grounds, and as usual, everything has been step-by-step development. All of us, we started about 3 months ago with the first systems, with the first chairs, and then we went from one chair to another to see the system is correct, and then we amalgamated the whole three together to understanding of, and then we started a new system with the expansion of the soul or expansion of the soul and physicality, and now we go with the transmutation. Our very first trials will be, in a way, understanding the work of our own system, to understand how they work. How did they actually respond? Does one receive and none was given? We try to understand this in a deeper way, step by step. Up to now, we used to take up 10, 12 people a day into it. Now we are limiting it to 4 or 5. We have to understand. We have to see if we can transmute the soul first. The first group of people would not see themselves going one to another, but we try to see if they see the dimension of the feeling of the soul from one system to another. This might take us a few days, might take us a few weeks, but when we master the art of the transmutation of the soul, in a way, we decide with you what you're going to dream, and all of you will have one dream, the chair on the other side, and that's it. You're not going to see the grandpa, you're not going to see the moon, you're not going to Mars. Your aim is, I want to be on that seat. Or I want to see, if I go on that seat, can I see me physically on this seat? Can I feel the essence of myself on the seat and not the system? We've seen people talk about having visualization and some having the feel of the visualization. So it's not as easy as it'll be. It's not just the valve of the gas system as we saw with NASA last week after sending $30 billion. A little valve has caused a problem and the hands are abandoned and God knows when it will be going. This time is the dimension of the feel of the soul of the man. This time is how you, as a captain, decide to take up or not. It's not in our hand anymore. Go back to the first time we announced these systems. We said, you are a captain of your own soul. You are a captain of the decision. You are the one who decides where to go. And if you noticed in the fields in the past few weeks, we kept to this criterion. We come to you and we tell you that, would you like to take a flight? Would you like to go somewhere? Would you be able to decide? And then it's you who decides, I want to see the grandma. I go and fly to the moon because I wanted to go, and some others come in with a different criteria. Yesterday, for the first time, we had the most amazing experience in the flight system. We had a couple, been together for 35 years. They know who I am. I'm sure they're listening. And the strangest thing with them is, we didn't know, we do not know who comes in. The knowledge seekers for 2-3 years. And the lady is Russian. The gentleman is German. And when they came out of the system, I said, where did he go? His aim wasn't to go to moon. His aim wasn't to go to Mars. His aim wasn't to see the uncle or cousin. They both decided before entering the system, or they discussed what they're going to do, to see the Russian version of Jesus Christ, or what we call in the name of Christ. And that was something, that's all they wanted. And both, because they made the decision together, achieved it. One, in the intention and dimension of the light recognizing, and one in the dimension of visualization as a field. This is very vital point for us, which means from now on, what was the whole thing which we decided with the other couples we had? If you remember the week before, we sent them to go where they want, and the couple went home. They wanted to go home, and the wife took the husband home. So we could see that when two souls agree as a soulmate, they do the things the same way in the dimension of the evolution and transmutation. And this couple decided before they come, they didn't want to go anywhere. They wanted to see the same man, the same thing. And this gives us opportunity to explore what we call collective transmutation. A family wants to go to moon. We can now, if the sincerity of the whole 3 or 4 members of the family is to go to the moon, they go to the moon. If the little girl wants to go to the playground and I don't want to go to the moon, but I'm going to the moon because the parents want to go, she'll be left behind because it's not to her satisfaction. So it comes to the point of we cannot lie. And it has to be collective. It has to be the same thing. So when we put you into these systems from next week, you have to want to sincerely to be transmuted to the other system. The beauty with this couple, most probably they'll be the first couple which will land on the moon because of the, what I call collective understanding of the work of the soul and being with each other so long. As I told them, we are looking for those of you who registered to go to the moon or to Mars, but we are looking for those that can give us the indication of it. The beauty of this couple we put to the moon. So in a way, we have found our first couple that will be landed on the moon through the system when we start, hopefully, is that they can see each other. They can feel each other. They can tell us what they see of each other, what they feel, how they look. And as we discussed yesterday, we give them a camera. Or do they come back and we deregister the emotion in a different dimension? Remember, man never could say how the other man looks till he found out the pen and the chalk and they start drawing a painting. We evaluated our understanding and we went further. We came out with the still pictures and then we made the movies and now the hologram. There is another dimension in transformation of the knowledge and the pictures. In a way, what I see are transferred to you through the soul. You see what I see. There is no need for a camera. There is no need for anybody else, if I don't want you to see it, to see. This new dimension of visualization is unknown to man. But through the system we set up and the way it is possible. In a way, when they come, if they don't want you to see the picture they saw, you don't see. If they want me to see it, I see. And when you talk between the two of them, they tell you, look up, both see the same pictures as I see. The new transmutation pictures and understanding is at the moment unknown to man. At the moment is a technology which we gradually introduce in the coming time. So with this couple, when we land them on the moon, we will bring that picture into operation. That they can take pictures, but we teach them how to use the dimension of the soul to memorize, to remember. And the beauty with this is nothing will be hidden. You see the full dimension with the emotion of the picture, which at the moment, you don't carry that emotion. You see a video, you see the laughter, you don't know what's happening on the other side, who's making this person to laugh. But now you see everything because you go through the dimension of emotion, the sight of emotion, the emotion of the laughter, the emotion of the, what we call sound, everything together, we transmute it from one to the other. So what's going to happen in the coming days, now that yesterday was the final stage of our development, we were looking before transmutation, is that we want those who come, maybe the first 10 of you will not transmute because your soul is not there to do it. You physically want to do it. So we see how much we can, because we cannot force you. This is the beauty of this new technology. As I said, you cannot force no one to do anything, but you can put it, as we say in English, on the plate, and if they like, they can take it. The new transmutation system opens a new light, a new understanding. It'll define, it'll explain a lot of things that we as a human race never understood in the world of creation. What does this mean? You heard a noise I deliberately made in the background, and I muted. You heard I poured liquid. That's all you know. But with a new understanding of transmutation, as we carry the essence of the soul of the noise, you will know if it was a tea, if it's sweetened, the color of it, what kind of tea. Was it orange juice? Was it apple juice? Sweetened apple juice? Was it the coffee, decaf or undecaf? Because this is the new level of the understanding of the emotion of the totality, which the new cycle of knowledge will open to man. You cannot say, oh, what am I drinking? I'm drinking coffee, but in fact, you're having orange juice. Those of you who are alcoholic, you're in a bigger problem. You can't dilute whiskey in Coke. And I said, darling, I'm just having a glass of Coke. Because darling will feel the essence of the vodka, the gene, what you put in. And then, as I said, everything in this new dimension is open to totality. You cannot drive down the road full of alcohol and say, officer, I had nothing. Sorry, the officer can spend everything you have, doesn't need a meter, because he works in a different dimension. So you will see the changes which will come, and this is what is to hit us all. And with it will come the same. The universal energy system which will be introduced in the coming time, all of you will receive from it. The energy, the food, everything else which you need. Correction of miscorrections, misguided works, and what man does to himself, all be a thing of the past. Peace will come on this planet when the technology of the creation understood through understanding the knowledge of the creation, and not by what I call magic, not by what it might be, what could be. Next week, when we start the transmutation of the system, it'll be fantastic to see if people can smell themselves from one machine to the other. What happened when we give you a perfume to the dimension of physicality? Does the soul smell in the other machine? In so many ways, a new era in the space technology, the space technology of the man to travel in deep space, has begun. We have closed one side, one section of what we call testing, that from understanding of it, from building of it, we allow the totality to take shape in a given dimension. As I said to our design people this morning, because sometimes they forget, is that we want our systems at a moment only to be for human race. The system, when it's set up, carries a specific system that conditions Earth condition. It's beautiful to see other creatures of the universe, but it'll be beautiful to see if we can handle it, if our own structure responds to the totality. There's a very big question. What are we going to do with those who are from other dimensions of the universe and they enter the system? In a way, with a new setting, with placing of the conditions of the Earth into the parameters, we will know which one of you, who of you, are not from this planet. Even though you feel, you touch, you eat, you create children in the dimension of humanity. This will open a new dimension. This will open for us to accept that we are part of the universal community and they're amongst us. We respect it and we have to honor it. It's not to stigmatize, it's to respect and to understand. In so many ways, the new flight system which come into operation, which tell us you are from such a planet, you want to go to moon, we have to change our system to you that you have the same pleasure as a man on earth. And at the same time, we have to understand how we bring these positions into what we call working. Yesterday, I asked one of our team who does all our purchasing, can you get me a laser beam machine? He goes up, he comes back, says, Mr. Keshe, this is what I can get, a little laser hand. I said, my dear, I want a laser. It's powerful enough that I can point at the moon and I can send a man with it down the line. I know where he lands, till he lands where he's going to land. In a way, attachment to the process. We have already started the process of the landing on the moon. It's not that it can come. We have to prepare. Our systems have to be set. One of the easiest way on Earth, I'll give you a mobile phone, Zoom. I can take you across. But for the time being, to have people get to know, and we can find them and bring them back, This is the easiest way to do. In understanding the totality, and the beauty with testing with the moon is that the moon has a fixed feature positions toward Earth. I don't land you on the crater and I pick you up on the rock somewhere else. Where I land you, I can bring you back. That's why we said we do the dimension of Earth to the moon, because this way we can check a lot of things. Now you understand the transportation and transmutation system, which is kicking in, is far-reaching and it'll have much more effect. It'll have new dimensions. It'll have new understanding. It'll create a condition of the detachment. It creates a condition for us as a research team to explore the limits of the knowledge of the creation. I just had a sip of the drink. You, as knowledge seekers, heard the noise. You've been set to do this. Some of you who came to the center, you should feel it. I do it again. You feel what the sip is, what the drink is, how does it taste, what kind of drink it is, and what's the emotion which is created by it within me, that knowledge is transferred to you as you are part of the structure of universal community, the dimension of the fields of the universe. Just listen and try to see. We did a test with Rick a few weeks ago. This is part of the same test, but in a different dimension. Just listen. And then don't think, feel through the soul what it is. Write it down. And then I come back to it later on. And then you understand what the difference is. Not, oh, I guess was that. Write it down. That you get confidence in your own emotion. You understand later on what you have to adjust. What was missing, and are you connected to this soul? I open my soul to the whole dimension of the creation. Now you try to see if you are connected. I'll give you a clue. It's a combination of emotion of different nations. Different cultures. You got to remember, I've traveled the span of the universe. I've traveled the span of this earth. And I've chosen the best of the best when it comes to pleasures of life. And the drink I drink has to give me a pleasure. It's something that allows me to transfer my emotion. The way is like a thirst. You're thirsty, and we talked about it many times before. What happened when you touch that first drop of water in your mouth and your taste gets satisfied? Because water beyond entering, before entering your mouth, is in a state of the matter. The minute it enters your mouth, your body is in the state of the gas, it's in the state of the field of the universe. And that's why that field travels the whole cell structure of the body of the man. The body next to you does not feel your thirst. It's only you who feels it. And when you take that first sip, every cell is satisfied. So we have to understand this. Last week I went through deliberately, in a different way, asked about the centrifuge. How we do, how we work, how we look at the centrifuge. Many scientists have not understood. In a way, I refer to the centrifuge when we ask for the position of the Earth in respect to the Sun. There is no way that the Earth is moving away from the center. And every indication of the knowledge is that the Earth is moving to the center if you understand the process of the creation in a true way. Now, I explain to you why the scientists are 100% wrong. First of all, if you just look at the physical position of the Earth and the Sun, yes, it could be moving away, whatever. But there are two major factors which tells you they are getting pulled into the Sun. First factor, Earth is not stationary. It's a dynamic and is at the end of the string rotating around the Sun. So it's in a centrifuge condition. In a centrifuge condition, the heaviest always go to the furthest out, and the lightest stay closer to the center of the force. Then the major point that no scientist, no scientific structure ever considered, Earth is in a vacuum condition of the solar system. And the solar system itself is in a higher density strength of the galaxy and thereon. So the Earth is in two conditions. One is on the centrifuge, and secondly on a vacuum. What do we do in a vacuum? In a vacuum system, instead of creating centrifuge rotation, we create vacuum and we get the same response. When you have a balloon, when you blow it, the lightest are on Earth, the lightest gases go further up. In a vacuum condition, the heaviest go up, the lightest come to the center. And this applies the same in reverse with the gas operation, where gases are amalgamation of the field forces. This is why you see separation when you put gases on top of each other. Have you ever bought these color sands that you put them one sand over the other, and then you see they are separated? You can say which sand is where and what color is where and how they are. And the same thing happens with you when you put gases together. You create through the vacuum that condition of separation of the field forces. But if you look in the dimension of the plasmatic condition, the stronger field is in the center and the weaker outside in the dimension of magnetical. But what knowledge seekers have not understood, on the hand, the gravitational, it must be heavier, stronger than the magnetical, that it finds its path to the center. This is how your soul matures to reach the condition of separation from the physicality. How do we understand all dimensions and working within the dimensions from each other? How do we separate understanding of the centrifuge, working within the what we call the vacuum, and then on top of it, understanding plasmatic field forces, which forces the condition of the stronger field to be in the center. They all are dependent on the condition of the manifestation. They are all conditions of understanding the work, the interaction of the fields of the universe. Sometimes matter state in the vacuum condition takes the center place, because within it hides the strength of the field of the gas plasma. You see that in the bone structure of the man. The body of the man is a total vacuum. absolute total vacuum, and the condition of the vacuum of the inside the body of the man is even higher than outside space level. In the test during our work in Bruges, in Belgium, we tested this. We created a condition of different vacuum strength, and we've seen how it operates. We create condition better than atmospheric, beyond in the space level. We go to minus 13, 14, we push it. Where atmospheric, cosmic atmospheric is considered around about 12. And we see the performance. But what is strange and man has not understood in totality is how come if by the law of the vacuum of the body of the man, the bone is in the center? Because every other gans is attached to it. Your muscles, your lymph, your skin is all connected. It doesn't work. It doesn't come into understanding of the essence of creation. But there is a vacuum condition inside another vacuum condition, which dictates that the heaviest goes to outside. What is this vacuum condition? But this vacuum condition, to create that field forces, changes into the ray of light condition, which is an amalgamation and transformation between one to the other. This is why your bones are the shape they are. They are spherical in essence of the field, but they are cylindrical in the essence of manifestation. Now you understand why your bones has such a structure. Because you missed a very important field forces which sits within it, which is your bone marrow. Bone marrow creates that condition, creates a field rotation, and that is why your body can suck blood out of the inner ends of the cell, and the lymph comes in through it. Our scientists, our men of medicine, are ignorant in totality of the science of the creation. And that is why you have problems with the immune system, because they have not understood you have a vacuum within a vacuum, you have a centrifuge system of the field forces not in a matter state, and then it leads to the creation of the body of the man. The biggest problem, the most important part of the whole structure of the building of the body of the man, and you all talk about it, you see it in every living cell, doesn't matter vertical or horizontal. Why? Why do you have a calcium in every cell in the body of the man? And what does the rotation of the iron as a blood with this centrifuge system and a solid base brings to you? What you have in the body of the man, in the structure of the bone structure, with a center of the bone marrow creating high field levels, that the bone becomes a centrifuge, outer body weight, and then in the matter state, it becomes itself the pinpoint of the holding on to the next vacuum condition, which is the muscle tissue and the skin of the man. Then you understand how life is created. We need to understand this. We have to understand this. Otherwise, we cannot create life in other dimensions. We cannot go through the transmutation through the field level. Then, in the other dimension, you get your brain and your foot, and your skull will be solid calcium. Because you made a slight error in understanding the process of the creation. These are all part of the structure of what we will go through from next week in the enhancement system. Understanding the true process of the creation, and not with the problems, and understanding the process of what's going on today with many of us in the dimension of the health and the rest. If you have understood, if you've been across with us, and seen people who've been paralyzed, people who had paraplegic, people who had no movement of part of the body, and within a day or hours they start moving. How many times you use gases where it was frozen in the body and then the pain is gone? Because you transform the matter state fields, which is converting to you, to the emotion, to the dimension of the fields of the universe within the universe of your body. Understanding the process of creation is 90% of the problem of the man, even the most intelligent scientists on this planet. They are single-minded in the sight of the knowledge they've been educated, and if they understand a little bit more of, they become arrogant that they don't understand the rest of it. When you become knowledge seekers, you have to understand the totality of the process of the plasma, physics, chemistry, and biology, and then the essence of emotion, and then the essence of the soul, which is the plasma of itself, before it becomes again the cycle of the matter state. If you push the two extremes, you come back to the same. How much you have not understood. If you increase, the alkaline is so high, it becomes acidic. If you give enough, you become a taker. If you create such a huge potential, you become from the voltage to a current, and this is what no man has understood. Now, in the next process of the generation of the teachings of the space technology, you will understand the emotion of the cycle of the life. You don't say, darling, I feel what you're going through. For sure, you feel exactly what he or she is going through, because you lock into the emotion of the soul. And you don't say, no, you don't understand my pain. My darling, I've connected to you to the field strength, not as a barrier of the field strength of you and me. Then mankind become knowledgeable in the essence of the creation, in the essence of interacting with the universal community, not in the dimension of matter state, but in the dimension of the field strength. And then it will become interesting for us, because we tried this with you before, and some of you tried it and did not work with you, because you never understood the whole essence. Some of the knowledge seekers, before they come for the first trials with us, they call their cousins or friend or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. I'm going to come and see you. I'm going in the system. And it didn't happen. Even though the cousin was sitting on the other end and waiting for you to arrive. What's the reason? The soul of the cousin says, no, no. You want, I don't, because I know what's going to create. It's not the time for it. This is what we saw with a couple yesterday and with the other couple last week. Both soul wanted and both soul achieves. If you remember, we put couples in the back and the front seats. We put couples across each other to see if the couple behind has nothing to do with the other one, if they still achieve and feel the same, even being in different positions. So in the past 6-8 weeks, we have tested every possible combination of the understanding of the movement of the soul of the man. Now, ask yourself a simple question. Check your paper and tick your paper. What did I think? We had a knowledge seeker very recently in one of the teachings where she said, I had a dream or whatever, and I could feel the person had a pain, so and so. And then we understood how that feeling correctly was. The pain was felt because of the correction of the and, in a way, closeness of the souls. And he was 100% correct. Now, check your papers. What did I drink? What combination? And what pleasure gives me in understanding of the memory? And then you see how much you have got and what you have. Those of you who have been around it for long enough, you know I love green tea, especially in the morning. This comes from my travels to China and understanding the essence, the beauty of the nation and why they do it, and how green tea is actually a GANS in the first layers. And what they burn and the first tea you take is nano-materials, which gives you the energy for time. That's why a lot of Chinese are very slim, because they take the energy in the first tea, in the green tea they take that first layer because they burn, they fry in a way, they dry the black tea, it takes the shape of green. So as a scientist, for me, green tea gives me a lot of pleasure, but I carry the emotion of the nation, the kind of culture within it, which has a lot of meaning to me. The other thing was a pure water, which the tea was made of. And I drink it very hot, a special way that I enjoy to carry the energy. The other part comes from my background as a Iranian, which I like nabat, which is concentrated sugar. Melt it, let cool down, and sticks to what you call wood or a string. And it's the pleasure to have because it's a rapid dissolved energy, especially during the time when I teach. Needs a lot of energy. Those of you who've been around me know after the 3 or 4 hours of teaching, I go exhausted. I need a whole afternoon, maybe next day, to literally recuperate from the time of the teaching. Then with it brings the essence of the smell and taste of saffron, which this gives you emotional elevation. Saffron to me has a lot of meaning, in essence of love and creation. And then when you take this sip, it revitalizes the whole of the body of the man. How many of you got all of it right? And how many of you got one of it right? And how much was on the knowledge of knowing, and how much of it was on the knowledge of the emotion? The beauty, the taste of green tea, the odor of saffron, with the sweetness of the sugar as a human, which is the essence of its creation, and then with the water of life, all at a very high temperature. Now, what that emotion, what that creates as the emotion within me, which satisfies my inner being dimension of the understanding of the totality. Then you understand how we will bring different cultures, different banners, different emotions from different parts of the universe, now that you become the travelers of the universe. Would you introduce tea to a man from planet Zeus? The one who did to me gave me a lot of pleasure. But how would you explain it in the essence, not in physicality, that they feel the emotion of what you have, what you give? Is it love or is it tainted with desire? In the life of man, we will know how and where and the way we are connected. In the life of man, we will not, as I said many times, adultery becomes impossible in the dimension of universal conflict, because the emotion of the soul creates that separation. The emotion of commitment and connection becomes soulmate for life, unless Some, by agreement of the two, has decided to separate. Not by agreement of one. It becomes a life without pain. The life within the dimension of the universe becomes as true, as clear as what I call the light of the sun. Transparent and complete. In the process of creation, in the process of transmutation, in the process of understanding the totality, man from now on enters a new dimension of understanding of the creation in itself, its own creation, and the created, and that has created a totality. Would we have children with physical handicaps once the man knows can create children with the essence of the soul and not the essence of physicality? And would these children be the light of the, what I call the true reflection of the light of the Creator, as they are created in the essence of the soul of the Creator and not the physicality of the being, with all its faults and its all dimensions? Now you understand, the children of Mitra, in the essence of understanding, will be pure, even though they live in a different dimension of the physicality. We have to understand that the dimension of the physicality of the man is on this planet. The dimension of the physicality of the children of Mitra is the universe. As wherever they go, they fit into the society because they came from the lights of that society, of the best of the lights, not those which are tainted. This is what Mitra did in essence of the creation, bringing the best lights from every field of the universe to create his own, her own child that will be the essence of perfection. And that child is amongst us. And we have to understand it and treasure it to understand that the new life not is the first child of Adam on this planet, but the first child in the whole universe to start a new creation, new dimension in life, for the whole of the universal community as a total, as a unicos. It's a new cycle that has a dimension of physicality of the point of place, but in essence is the soul of the Creator within. Mankind will come to understand this. Mankind has no choice, as the universal community will make it to understand. Now, you try to understand. You see, you go through the emotion. If now that you know what I drank and what I drink, you get the same emotion as me. Did you smell? Did you feel? Did you feel the essence of my soul wanting to share it with all of you and not be kept to me, the beauty, the taste which it carries? Did you take a sip from the cup of life of the Creator? Then you understand the totality of the process of the creation. Did it enlighten the soul, or did it freshen the physicality? Mankind, in a new way, will break through a new understanding that the physical dimension of life has meaning, but does not have the importance, does not have the priority, is not to be detached, and I don't want to be here. I want to be here because I want to enjoy the totality of it, not to be a part-time lover. In a way, mankind will come to understand the totality of the essence of the creation. Mankind will come to understand how man will go through it, how man will feel it, how will come to be what it is. Today, later on, we'll introduce that we come to see the change. We come to understand the totality, and we come to see what it will bring to us. It will bring to change and to create that understanding from the dimension of the soul of the man. And how much of it we can understand to do, what we can understand and what we can do. And would it be in a position of totality? We have to understand the totality of physicality. We have to understand the totality of all dimensions. Physical, emotional, transmutation, transformation, transferring from physical to what we call transmutation and transfer, and vice versa. And understand the totality. How much can we change? How much can we push to understand our own limitation? Humanity needs understanding of the totality to be able to become the man of the universe. And this knowledge does not come freely. In how we transfer these energies across from each other. How do we comprehend the emotion of it? Do we need to think to do, or would it come to us naturally? And how natural does it come to us? And would we always live in the dimension of the soul? Or would we live in the dimension of physicality? Or would we come to understand the borderline of which one is the soul and which one is the physicality? Then comes the question, the big question for mankind, that those who we accuse of schizophrenic and multi-character, how would they spread, how would they share the singularity of the physicality? Or do we create another dimension of the problem for ourselves to understand their work? Or would, if we have a schizophrenic in one system, we want to appear in the other, which other will manifest, or would they all two or three manifest themselves in another system, one as a man, one as a woman, one as whatever they want to be. And then, if we call in their creator, their parents, would they have the comprehension of understanding? These are all problems. These are all situations. These are the realistic conditions that we open from next week by running the transmutation test. Where do we centrifuge your fields? And is the fields of one system is matching the other one, that you will come out as a man on the other side. Very much, if we create another condition in the other system, it will be the way, let's say you appear on moon, they feel the strength from another dimension. But as a man, feel the strength. Then how would you look? How would you manifest yourself in the other system? Would you have 10 legs and 20 arms? Because that's what you need on the surface of the moon. Now you go back to all the teachings we've done over years. Where we always said, we have test trials before you go, you see how you come. Go back on all the recorded teachings. Many times I refer to it. Now we have come to it. Now we will see, now our scientists will create the conditions that when you go on the moon, you see how you will manifest yourself in the others. The systems are physically made and in events. As I said to Dean yesterday, I never let you in up to now, but from now on, we look from inside. What do we transmute from the other, from one side to the other? Do we get the perfection in both systems that both mimics the condition of the earth? We foresaw such a situation in our designs. That's why last time, if you remember, I said we put the people in the center. Those who want to be still connected to earth and the other system does not match the condition they want, then be manifested in the center of the room. It'll be very interesting for you to understand. In one condition, you'll be manifested in the room. Would you still see your other half in the machine? It'll be very much like when you dream. You see yourself in your dream in the mirror and you see yourself back. I went shopping and I bought such a dress, because in a dream, in a condition of soul, you still see your dimension of physicality because that's what it fits it. Now you understand the totality of the knowledge of the space technology is absolutely mind-blowing. But once you understand it, what would be the next condition? How would you feel if you're amongst two souls? How do you test yourself when you're among two souls and know the both souls sitting and knowing and understanding each other, but not knowing that you see both? This is one of the dilemmas that you will face in the coming time. You sit between two friends and you see the emotional feeling about each other, where they don't talk to each other about it. It brings a lot of new dimensions. It brings huge amount of headaches for those who see it, but they cannot talk it, they cannot do it. But from now on, as more and more of us learn, will not think that way, because you know that the side sees what's the use of thinking. Then it comes, does the man need the emotion of the language and the voice? Interesting times are ahead of us. In so many ways, the perfection in understanding the totality is upon us. We have no choice. And then what we need to do, what we need to understand, is how perfect this life, the new dimension for man shall be. How do we assess it? How do we understand it? And then how do we collaborate with it to be part of us? And how closely, how far can we push this? For us to understand, for us to be able to push the what we call the manifestation of the creation. To what extent mankind will understand the teaching of today, and to what extent will be the beginning of the evolution, the beginning of what I call a new way of living. All of you who come in from next week, you sign a disclaimer that you come in according to your will, and it has to be notarized. Don't come in if you don't have the letter with you. That you give us the right for transmutation and transportation, or transmutation and what I call relocation. We don't make it. You have to get it made according to you and bring it with you. You will not go in a system if you have not got a signed letter, notarized, registered, that you give the permission to become the test pilots in this series of the what we call evaluation and development of new technology. It has to be with your free consent. We, as one nation, come to change the operation of this nation. And that's man's nation on this planet. In a very short time, Keshe Foundation will announce the establishment of one nation organization, which means the creation of totality in considering the supply of food, energy, and everything else under the same banner, the same structure through knowledge seekers. We see crisis in the West. We see crisis around the world with the food crisis and the rest of it, created deliberately or whatever. As we have set up one nation structure, one nation, one planet, one race, Keshe Foundation will respond to this accordingly. We're just waiting to see how this takes shapes. That is the best time for us to intervene. when your nations cannot supply you, when your nations cannot give you food, there has to be an alternative as a what we call totality of one nation. Will open a new dimension in the patterns which you have, but you do not understand. With it, we release new technologies that all can use immediately. That takes the pressure of the hunger, heat, and the rest of it from the life of especially the European and Western world, as the Africans are well looked at. It does not matter how much the price of the oil goes up, down, if there is no gas, if there is no car to drive, as they live in the jungles, and the monkeys don't care. If they are loved by the man, or they are fed by the man, because they can feed themselves the same as the man in the jungle. Now you understand that the totality of the knowledge independence of physicality has brought a pleasure to live in Africa because you're already independent. Let's see what comes up and how fast in the next coming weeks we can create that dimension of transmutation, that dimension of transfer, that dimension of further understanding, that by October, November, that time, we can bring you to Austria and ship you back home. As I said to one of our knowledge seekers, as a couple, leave a phone at home, come in the car, I'll send one of you back home in a different way. In a way, it means we'll see the difference between the physical and transmutation. And would the partner finds the other partner home when he or she gets home? Was the desire to be home? The love is so strong to bring. This is what we tested 2 weeks ago with a couple, or last week with a couple. The desire to go home was the same as the love was at home. Now you understand why we run these trials, that on the completion, every soul gets what it wants and what it needs and what it has to. Thank you very much for today. I hope you understood a lot more what is to come. I hope you understand the new knowledge which is shared with you far beyond your understanding of the present time. And then it'll become like the first time we introduce you to gases and a different kind of energy. Now we introduce you to a new way of living life in the universe. And man has no choice but to learn it. You can deny it, but you cannot run away from it, because this time you can't hide in the jungles of Africa or behind the locked doors when it's got nothing to do with me. As it touches your soul and it has everything to do with you, it does not matter very well. Vic, if you can take us to break and we come back, and then we'll take it a step.
Very good. Thank you once again, Mr. Keshe, for another teaching. And we'll be back in a few minutes. This is the 449th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 8th, 2022.
the new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before. The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Okay, here we are back again at the 449th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 8th, 2022. And I think we're ready for the second part of the program here, where Mr. Keshe usually takes questions from our audience.
Yes, really. There's a couple of things I want to mention and to bring it in. One is that, as you remember, for a long time, we tried to bring the GAN's work into different dimensions of work and of what we call materials of the Keshe Foundation, how people connect their work. They bring different knowledges and different way of their understanding into their work. Today we have two of these. One comes from the Keshe Foundation itself in how we have commissioned work, and one comes from one of our beautiful knowledge seekers in France. He's done a lot of work in the past. We heard from him a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and now has made a compilation of his work in regarding the agriculture. It's beautiful to see what he's done. He was with us a few weeks ago, as he went through the enhancement with his beautiful wife. They went through the system, and they went together to see Paris, and we explained some of it to you. He has made a collection of work. His work is done away. This is a work of 2 or 3 years. It's not just normal work. And he made it available to the Keshe Foundation. It goes into the agricultural teaching. It's already put up. We wanted to show it as a whole, but it's a very long what they call teaching, and it'll be shown for teachings for other people who are interested in agriculture in a part of today's work. The other one is, as we said, we always worked into the understanding how the technology can be applied in different ways and different, what we call, manners, and how we will see the artists will use this technology for their, what we call, the artisan work. And Keshe Foundation sometimes got commissioned 2 sets of paintings to be released as part of a new generation of works by the Keshe Foundation. These works now is completed, and today you see one of them, a pair of them. There's a pair, matching pair, but with different dimension of gases. They've been put on sale on the Keshe Foundation website. So you buy 2 pictures, and if you put them in the room, dimension of the emotion, dimension of the temperature, dimension of changes in the room, we would like to know. So in a way, you buy an artwork, which becomes part of the research work too, but has a beauty. It has been made, and both pictures will be signed by me as a personal gift, whoever takes it. This is one set, and this is the other set. They are parallel sets, and they've been done specifically by Keshe Foundation, for Keshe Foundation, by our knowledge seekers, people who understand our work. And this comes on the back of the same group of people who we introduce through the artisan work, the cup of life, and the cups of the pressure and cups of what we call sugar. Is those cups you buy, they're artisan works, that are mass production, as is made one individual by hand by artisan. And this is the other one. There are 2 sets of painting. This one matches this one, and this one matches this one. These are in 1 meter, around 1 meter and 1 meter 40 size. One of them, and one is 190 by 120 centimeters. So they're big pictures, and they've been put on the website of the Keshe Foundation. When you purchase these, you haven't bought artwork. These will be followed for years to come. And as I said, when you buy them, put them across each other in a room, in a space. Stand in it and see how it feels, what it brings you. One is loaded 2 to 1. These are, in a way, scientific work that one transmutes feeling of whatever from one paint to another, and see what changes you see on another wall. And you see over time, take pictures of it, and then see in 6 months' time, in a year time, how the colors have changed. How was your mood? How you feel? How it brought you joy. We put these sets of work at €3,000 a set. It's taken a lot of work. It's taken a lot of ganses, combinations of the thing, and a lot of thinking to go behind it to be done. They're both for sale on the Keshe Foundation website now. And we will introduce work like this from now on, the way very softly we introduce the cup of sugar and cup of pressure, and many of you have bought so many of them. These paintings are individual artwork. These are artisans, and will be promoted to the Keshe Foundation for scientific and evaluation of it. We know a lot of artists try to do this, and they do this because, and there's hardly, they just do it because they want to make sense. This is done the way we want it, and it's done by our people, what they put in it and how they put in it. And we want to see actually what happens in this environment. The changes in the color of this painting, for me, is important. What happens in 6 months' time? Do you buy a red and a blue, and you end up soon with a green and red? It's a live interaction. These are live pictures. These are what will come that shows your emotion as you pass between the two. Would you be able to see the changes when you sit and you feel happy and the color of the painting changes? And when you're sad, the color of painting changes. You come home, you look at the pictures, oh, she's angry today with me. You come in home and you look at the pictures, oh, she's going to love me today. We are looking for a new dimension of understanding. And it's only 2 sets of these available. And we would like, when you buy it, you enter in a way, it's artwork. All pictures will be signed by me because it comes from the Keshe Foundation. And we want to know the history of these paintings. They'll be valued in hundreds of thousands in a short time if you're in investments of pictures. And gain because of its value as a scientific value. That's what we are after. If you remember when we introduced the glasses to you for test, the understanding of the work with the people who fed us back with some information gave us a very clear understanding of the enhancement units, travel units, and everything else, which now you see you're taking part in. So these pictures, these kind of work for us has a value. It's not just that we put something, because it's going to bring something forward. The other thing which we try to show it today, but we decided in a way to go in a very rapid way to the next level because we see problems in Western Europe. We saw the government of England is planning on 130 billion financial aid package for families to support with fuel and maybe other expenses which come. We have seen the Austrian government yesterday has passed a 2-3 billion package to come in December, when actually you still have to get yourself through to that time, that they give some 500 euro per family to support with the increased rising food and other things. But the crisis will be much deeper than this. Keshe Foundation has decided to go for a direct intervention of the Keshe plasma, what we call gas and electricity unit. And this plasmatic unit is going under the evaluation and development in the next few days as we shortcut a lot of things through it. And once completed, it will be shown publicly in the next few days. The 5 kilowatt uses the gas to create electricity in a gas generator. The new system uses understanding of the technology of the plasma to create its own gas and its own energy. And with it, will introduce the interaction of the fields of the food and everything else. Once we show this is one of freestanding unit, once our team managed to complete it, we will show it, and then it will be rapidly available to all the governments around the world. We have to come to an agreement on an open pattern basis, and what will come back, which means the Western Europe does not need to go through what we call the recession which they're expecting. Then we have to see how we will come to an agreement with governments to disperse with this knowledge so rapidly, and Keshe Foundation to become as a government backing governments in running governments. In a way, we provide the technology and the knowledge to create the backing to the nations to start the beginning of the process of one nation, one planet, one race, to replace the United Nations as one nation, as the nation is already united in knowledge and technology. As I said earlier on, we have set up and we are ready to, in a way, introduce, and with it, the acceptance of the one nation policy, where the new knowledge with energy, the food and transportation bring a new dimension. And we decide, as knowledge seekers of one nation, how our language nations will operate. And we start the establishment of one nation policy through introduction of the technology available to every man at the point of need. They give you €500 to be happy for a while. We give you the whole knowledge of the system and technology to happy for a lifetime. That you do not need to depend on the Saudis and the rest and the danger of nuclear attack by one or the other, because the change has come and we bring forth the enforcement of the knowledge. Introduction of the new technology will bring the introduction of the new one nation policy, and you as citizens decide with it. Now, as I said, we open the pattern on the other side, which you read it but never understood it. Now you read it and you understand it, and the cycle will start. Next week is not just the beginning of the introduction of transmutation, but we'll bring the other parts, because the same energy supply will be used in our systems for transmutation. Plasma technology with energy power. Let's see what we can do and how we set up 20 years ago to bring the basis of one nation policy into operation through its need at this moment of time. Are there any questions?
Okay, yes, of course, there's always questions. Let's see here. Let's start off perhaps with a question from you in live stream, who says, what does the soul of the man look like in the eyes of the universal community? Mr. Keshe said, they don't see the shape of the body. We are seen as spots of light.
How do you see the sun? And how do you see the Mars? And how do you see the other stars? How come the sun is a light to you? And how come the planets have a matter state to you? Have you ever thought of that? Why, when you look on one side, you see the sun as a light, and when you look on the other side, you see the moon as a matter state? Then you find the answer to your question. Conditions of the field balance, field condition, dictates the understanding and observation and emotion. And in a way, if you understand it in an easier way, the tea is a matter state liquid till it touches the lips and the mouth and it becomes emotion. And then still has a dimension of physicality, as we like to feel it, as we consume it. It's the same condition. If I decide what to feel, you can't feel. A lot of people say to me, why you see everything and you let all these things happen? Because it has to happen. It has a reason. It has a cycle. I sat in China between a couple in the hotel in a meeting. And it was a very, very strange meeting. And this meeting took place 2 or 3 times. Wang Lin was sitting next to me as a translator. But in a way, I didn't need any translation. I could read, I could see, I could feel the language of the two across the table and understand the emotion involved in that meeting. And it was very, very strange to hear what they were talking to each other in the soul dimension, what they were communicating, and what they were talking physically. And I got up and I went for a glass of water, a bottle of water from the shop, and came back. And with my turn back to them, the conversation changed. And I could hear, I could feel the emotional change, what they were talking to each other. And I came back on the table. That was a deliberate job. And I saw how they changed in respect to each other, because in a way, by looking at each other, they were communicating something. And I walked away from this meeting. It was a beautiful meeting. It's wonderful. The gentleman loves the Keshe Foundation technology and does a lot of things for us in China. But it was interesting to sit and tell them I can see everything. And I know what you think. And I know your emotions and your feelings and what was going on. And I asked for a second meeting. We met a second time. And I wondered if they understood. But in the background, through the soul, I conveyed a message to the other one. And in a meeting, the meeting was very different, because the interaction between the two was totally changed. The emotional interaction was different. And I said to myself during that time, when won't man understand? I see everything, but I close my eyes, so I don't need to be told. It's the choice I have. And I choose the man's way to understand the man's way of living and doing. And it's not by ignorance or by what they call being simple. It's just understanding that you live in man's world. As the song said, it's a man's world. Man made a car. It's a man's world, and man made has this world for himself in his physicality. And we have to respect it. But does not mean you have to go with it and do with it. Many times, those knowledge seekers are very close to me, always say, Mr. Keshe, you see everything. Why don't you do it? Why do you go through all this pain? Why do you do these things? I always say, I have to learn something from it. That's why we came here. But we see everything. The desires, the lies, the cheats, and everything else. Nothing is hidden. If you choose to go to the path of the soul, and then you live that soul life. Once one said, the worst thing we do is when you withdraw your love. It hurts more than actually knowing that it's not there anymore. Because when we enter a commitment of life, we commit with a full life presence of the emotion of the soul and nothing else. With a full love. Because we understand how the soul understands. And when it's broken, we move away not to take the pain. And this is what, as knowledge seekers, more and more of you will understand. What you earn, what you learn, what you see, is it a light or is it a dimension of physicality? How do I handle the soul? And how do I handle the physical side? This becomes part of our responsibility. Now we are responsible for it. Now we are responsible for the soul and the physicality. Up to now, we are responsible to feed the physicality. Soul was there, somebody else's job called God, heaven and the hell and the rest of it. Now you are the God, you are the heaven, and you are the hell for it. Accepting the responsibility of the both will be a perfect life of Peter. Do good, because when you do wrong, you do it to yourself. Talk good, because when you talk wrong, you do it to yourself. And everything else which goes with it. And when you act, it has to be perfect, because you do it to yourself. Psychosomatic. Man has not understood that yet. Any other question? If you want to change the screen, please.
Oh, yes.
I was talking to one of knowledge skills quite some time ago, and he said, Mr. Keshe, we know what you are doing and where you are, and if you are away or you are home, or you are whatever. And I said, how? He said, your dog barks, we know you are home. If there is such a noise, we know where you are. If you do this, we know what you're doing. And by the noises in the background, we can tell you what you're up to. Now, if you can extend to the knowledge of soul, you don't need to know listen to the noise of background. You touch the soul. And you feel the emotion of what that noise of dog made when it's made. Or what happened when the other noise was made. And it's interesting how fast knowledge seekers will come mature to this now that the new technologies are in. Any other question?
Jalal had mentioned in the chat earlier when just after you had talked about the green tea and so on, he says, I knew it was water and tea, and I even smelled the tea. And I know for me, I can add that it was kind of strange. When you were talking about it, I had this impression that it was something sweet and hot, and I couldn't figure out what it was. But here, strangely enough, here I was drinking a green tea at that moment. And not only a green tea, but it was my second cup of green tea. And that's the first time in my life that I've had 2 green teas in a row. So I was actually drinking it when you mentioned it. But my mind couldn't figure out what you were talking about, other than it was something sweet and hot. I kept thinking about coffee, but I thought, no, it's not coffee. What is it? I had no idea that you were a green tea drinker. So that was quite interesting. Okay, what else do we have here? We had a question about from Steph. Do you have she says a formula for the attorney? I think she means a form or a something that can be printed out for people to take to the attorney to notarize, or do we? What do we put on that notarization? Hello, Mr. Keshe, we're not hearing you right now. So.
Yeah, I didn't notice I put the mute on. You have to mention that, first of all, about your tea. The green tea has a what you call connection to the soul. And because of the nano structure it has. And when you put your nanomaterial in a given salt level, you know, it changes to gas, and most of our waters have such amount of salt. So green tea, the way it's made, is nano-plated first in a way, as you call it, has and creates different emotion, which in a way gives you, if the Chinese understand how to use the green tea, or man understands how to use the green tea, a lot of diseases will not exist. And this is one of the reasons Chinese live a long, long, long life. and if they understand it. If you make a green tea and throw the fresh water away, you have lost the process of the what you call energy feeding the soul, and then soul deciding the life. If you drink it as a pot, if you made the green tea usually and you leave it in the pot, you see it becomes black tea, because the energy of the nanoparticles is given to the environment, and green tea is actually black tea roasted, which is nano-coated. Traditionally, when they collect the tea, they take it to roasting, and they just the same night, the man who cuts it or the woman who cuts it, roasts it in a pan, and it just stays fresh as it is, keeps its at a certain temperature, keeps its color and whatever. The emotion you carry with it and you receive from it. Regarding the consent, you have to write in your own language that I give my consent to Keshe Foundation and all the operations and subsidiaries to for me to, or for my body and my, what do you call it, soul, whatever, to be used for testing and evaluation and elevating the knowledge of the man. And this is done with my full consent, and nobody has forced me or whatever to do such a thing. And I give all rights to the Keshe Foundation to do in the time of testing, and I have no claims whatsoever. This is important. One of your knowledge seekers understood what I've done and can type it, put it back on the screen, we put it on. And if you have a lawyer around, write it up and give it to us straight away. We put it on, becomes what we call the platform plate. But we need this because we are entering a dimension of the testing with a very interesting job. Any other question?
Keshe had a second question. Are you still looking for satellite people, the ones not coming to Linz, but operating out of your home?
The more we have, yes, enroll, pay for it, and there we have a lot of people who done. I mean, we'll know the list of satellite people. We will probably know, it'll be known because with the point of focus, and we have more and more people joining to become satellites. And it's good to have. It was very beautiful this week. The groups came in. They were from. We had 2 Russians. Oh, we had Germans. We had Polish. Where else came from there? Austrians. Last week we had, or the week before, we had our first Afro-American. And more or less we are piling in all what is needed. We're still missing Chinese. They have not come in yet. And it's amazing what is and how that system feels, and how people come with what expectation they come. But yes, we need satellite people. Some of the weeks we still to do some other things is that the standard flight tests will still carry on in the background with some people as they come in. Then, and this allows us to perfect our system to understand where it goes wrong. But from next Wednesday, Tuesday we are closed. We don't do any tests. Next Wednesday, 14th, as I said, we have 4 people going through it. It'll take an hour or 2, maybe less. We succeed or we do not. It all depends how our technicians in the background set up the system, and how we see how we do what we. Our original target is not to take one to the other, is actually to see if we can transmute the soul. We'll do that for a few days and see what we get, how we see. And then we'll most probably test it. It's a sort of physicality and the sort of the man across after that. and then we attempt a full transmutation. And our team is building the first 2 vertical systems for this job. There are 4 new systems under construction and development in the Keshe Foundation, where 2 of what you've seen, if you remember, the vertical units, which we showed originally. Now, these vertical units as a transmutation and a transmutation system are literally getting developed to the standard that we can start testing. And this will be very interesting for us in how our team will be there to bring this condition into what we call operation, and how we will change the whole structure and the whole transmutation system. Who will be allowed and who will not be allowed, what soul allows you to go. If you're coming into the system to escape, forget about it. It will not happen. If you come there to collaborate, to bring shared knowledge, you will find you'll be transmuted. And you got to understand you cannot cheat the system, because the system is you. We just provide, you're the captain. We provide the facility, we give you the aircraft to fly it. We create a runway in a way to fly it. The aircraft is yours. And you have to decide under what condition you really want to fly. And how far you want to push this, what we call transmutation and the transportation. This vertical system you see in the center is now getting set up in a very much like the other system, ready for transporting away, transmuting you from one unit to another. We actually have a problem at the moment where to put it. As you see just behind you, or where underneath is the 2 large escalators right in the center of the exhibition. Above us, if you've been, is like a huge metal structures of the back end of the rocket propulsion. And we're looking for where we can transmute without anything within the exhibition center. If we don't find a place, we move to a new location for this, because it has to be without interference. And we'll see what comes up. Otherwise, you still go through the same system as before. As we have in the room still, we have to find a location for this to start with. Any other question?
Okay, we've got a hand up here with Azar. If you could go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. You're up early. It's 5 o'clock your time.
I'm always up at 3 in the morning on Thursdays when you teach. Now it's 5:04, yes. Before I ask my question regarding the tea and coffee you guys talk about, this is something I learned, that coffee, tea, onion, garlic, and hot pepper, not the black pepper, actually when you take them, it engages your soul more. So from 2018, when I learned that, I stopped taking them, because you can feel it. And then when you go back to it, once in a while, if I go to someone's house or traveling, it is in the food, and I take it. But they have a very, very medicinal effect on the body, especially garlic and onion. But when you take it on a daily basis, it has a huge impact on at the soul level. So I don't know how much the truth is it, but I can see the effect of it in case people want to know. A question I have, since on a teaching that we do in Farsi, I teach the old teaching. When I listen to you, all these years you're teaching, you brought a lot of knowledge for humanity to free himself or herself from the shackles of this planet and release themselves from this painful living on this planet for people who are in physical level, because constantly they have to deal with every aspect of their life in either the food or energy or medicine or survival. So at the end, when I look at it, my question is, it's up to us, because you constantly, I mean, the way I feel in every teaching, you constantly bring the same thing, and maybe in a million or maybe a zillion ways, you're trying to tell us you can go to this point. But ultimately, it's a humanity's decision if they want to go through this path. You cannot force them, because I see you constantly, you're teaching us, but you cannot take us and put us there. So the action has to come from us. So the question is, at the end, the humanity can get to the point that you're trying so hard to, from the first day until now, no matter what, you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, and it seems nothing is clicking for a lot of people. So it's also possible at the end we bring our own demise rather than go to the path you're showing us. Is the decision that humanity in totality make, and for you is going to be a lot of suffering if humanity doesn't choose that path. And for you is very painful journey, because every single day, every single minute, every single second, you keeping the same thing over and over again and hoping that they get it. And are we getting it?
John, I want to explain to you something, how we get it and what we decide with everything we go. Experience of life is a very good thing to go to evaluate. When I was a student, in the second year in London, I decided I want to live in the center of London, than living in outskirts and outside. And I rented what I call a room, what do you call it, like an apartment with a separate kitchen, a bathroom and everything else, right under the loft, the top where the beams falls and everything else. It was like 5 or 6 stairs of flights, and on each floor there were 1 or 2 doors, apartments. And the were part of the building didn't have any lived in Knightsbridge and Bayswater, you know, the kind of buildings there. And I had to walk all the way every day, up and down, to go to college and back. And the college was on the journey to go from Central London to East London to Queen Mary. That was another emotional track. But coming home, being in the college whole day, hungry, and you have to go through this flight of stairs, And it was just after the Iranian Revolution. When I took the apartment, there was nothing. But being in the basement, to those of you who know, in the center, it became, the owner was Iranian, so it became a house of Iranian. There were literally all Iranian living in that floor. Refugees, people came to whatever they settled. And I used to think about what we were going to cook. I was sharing house with another apartment with another Iranian boy, and the Imperial College, he was doing his PhD. And thinking about home, what I'm going to cook, what I'm going to be ready by the time we get home. And you walk these stairs up. If you know Iranian cooking and the Iranian woman, the way they cook, the food has to have a smell. One floor you pass, you smell something else. The other door you pass, you smell something. By the time you get to the top, you have 5 or 10 smells. Oh, you say this house 2, 3 people have a korma sabzi, if you know what it is, and the rest of it. By the time you get to the top, you're confused in the decision you made at home because of everything you smelled on the way up. To make what you decided before you come home is a challenge, because now you have all emotions of the taste and the smell going through you, and how like this or do that, and then making something on top. It was, and sometimes we had a joke between each other with my friend. He said, oh, we were supposed to have this for dinner tonight, we decided yesterday. What happened changed the smells. And sometimes when we used to get to the top, the other one was home, says, what are we, oh hell, smell that one, we're going to have this one, forget about what we decided yesterday. And this is emotion, how we can stick to it, and how we evaluate it, and how we understand it. And does it have an emotion related with us? If you bring an Englishman going up the stairs, it's just a lot of a smell. But being Iranian has a different emotion, because the culture, this is what we see, Universal Council members have to understand, has to be from the language to understand. And this comes to work when you come to work and understand the work of human race. The desire, the change of emotion in interaction with other emotions, understanding of it, and being able to accept the pains of it as you try to understand it. And this brings a lot of solitude. It brings a lot of comprehension of the totality. And how we see, how we accept it, and how far are we going to sacrifice to understand it? And is that sacrifice brings us any gain? We fall in love with a partner, totally different culture, different language, different thing, and we try to satisfy it for that, the love, what we call love. Learn the cooking, learn the language, learn the way of doing things, and then you find out it didn't work. And it wasn't there, you understood, misunderstood, and never been there. It's a lot of people who work around me. They say I tell them, you don't speak English, you just speak English, the voice is English, but you don't understand the emotion, what it implies, what it implies. And they say, you're not an Englishman, you're Iranian, how come you? I lived there 30 years. I went as a young boy, I understand, live within the structure. Has the same value or understanding to me as the most probably more than what I understand in the Farsi language, because it's the time of the youth, where you understand emotions. And people speak English and said, this is not what it means. It says in dictionary, but it doesn't say the emotion of that word is specifically used in that dictionary. But with the soul, we don't have this problem. It means exactly what it says. It implies and applies exactly what it is. And this brings a lot of pain, a lot of understanding, a lot of comprehension of totality of essence of a race. and how much you can accept.
Mr. Keshe, I understand what you're saying because when I came here, I was only 20 years old. So I've been living here for 41 years. And then sometimes when I go to Iran, because I don't understand certain things, the culture, I get into trouble. Like somebody says, come tonight to our house, and I say, okay. But then I realize it wasn't okay because the people around me, like Yusuf John or Dr. Babu, said, no, this doesn't mean that, so you can't just go. So,
we call it tarof.
yeah, because we were in North, we were traveling in a city with Yusuf John, that was his family lived there, his cousin came in, and then their cousin, they have a factory, they make all those porcelain plate and cups and stuff like this. And we went to lunch, and then Yusuf John said, my cousin says, come over tonight. I said, okay, let's go. And Dr. Babu, no, you can't just go like this because they're just saying it. I said, what do you mean just saying it? They just say come, so it means come. So we had an argument about that. But then I realized, and sometimes some people tell me, oh, you can have this bracelet. And I take it and I say, thank you. But then I had to give it back because it wasn't meant to.
We call it tarof.
Tarof, yes.
Tarof. But this is part of our culture. If you tell somebody else, even with us, we understand it, we have a problem. I do that with a lot of people. When I go to Iranian shop somewhere and they say, oh, tarof, you don't need to pay. One day I actually walked out with it because I said, where are you going? He said, you said they can have it free. He said, no, it was just a tarof. I said, not with me, I don't understand it.
Actually, I have done the same thing. I have done the same thing in Iran. The guy says, "It's no problem when I'm buying something." I say, "Okay." And then he said, because I knew what does it mean, but then I had a good laugh about it. But Mr. Keshe, about the talking about the living in the soul level and physicality. Actually, I mean, a lot of us, since we understand it, actually, if I didn't know what I know, the life would be so different. Living in a soul level, life makes life very easy. It's playful and it's joyful. Because even in the morning when I leave the house, I tell my husband I'm going to physical world. I come back. I see you tonight. So because I know I'm going out there and I'm playing a role, and if it was in the past, the way I look at it, if I act on it on a physical level, would have been a lot of maybe tension, a lot of things. But when you go to the soul level, everything is pure, everything is crystal clear. And even when you go to that level, you can see people's intention, you can see people's play a game, you can see people's feel alive, you can see everything. Nothing is hidden from you because it's very clear. They don't know that you can see, but you see, and easy. And for me, it's easy to interact with people because I can see everything clearly. So I just play my role in that interaction. And the most beautiful thing is when we go to the soul level, and then with the complete clarity and cleanness of your talk and your action. Actually, sometimes I notice the whole, if you have a meeting with someone or in a gathering and you're speaking, and other people, because of what they're going through, because they're into the physicality, they're not familiar with different world, although they have a lot of tension and maybe a lot of assumption about different things, and they don't understand it. The way you act on a soul level, suddenly you see they actually come into ease with everything, and at the end you see the whole the person is changed in a way that you say, oh, is interesting, as if you're holding a space, and the way you acted, you changed them in a way that you never thought is possible. And this is a beautiful way that I think all the knowledge seekers that now they understand this, when they go about their life in outside, it's just interaction with people, it just changes people. And then you don't even have to put much effort.
You know something I said to one knowledge seeker once? She said, when I go to such a place, I don't feel good. I said, go inside, go in the room, see if you don't feel good. Come out and wash your face and your head take it with you, a combination of CO2 and Zn and something else. And go back into the meeting again, or go back into the same room again with the same people and see how you feel. If your emotion, your feeling, your understanding changes. And she did. And later on, she said, never ask me to do this again. Because I found out 80% of the wrong things I was looking was with me, not with them. And it brings out a lot of how we see with each other. You got to understand, I sit in these sessions of enhancement trials, and sometimes simple things touches you, sometimes emotional of single things touches you. And I'm sure the ladies listening, people who are around here, who know what I'm talking about. This lady came to us very recently, and she went through the system. And we didn't know anything about the background. I don't read anything about the people who come in, then it gives you set mind of what to think or what to do. She came out of the system and she says she's got the breast cancer on the left side. That was after what she told me, that she went in the system and she sorted out the problem, which she managed to get to the soul of the mother and the grandmother. And between three of them, they sorted out the problem which was never sorted, which was mainly to do with the love of the mother for the child or whatever it is. And she says she's happy she came because she settled the score or whatever, she settled the problem. And I said to her, maybe you have changed the condition of your cancer, when she told me. Because left breast of a woman goes with a mother and a daughter. She has no children. And I said, now you change the emotion. Let us know if the cancer changes. If your body and your life changes. And what will be the outcome? We bring that change through emotion, dimension of physicality. And I'm sure with a high percentage, we will see a resolution to this cancer. Because I know what has caused it, what is the reason behind it through our research and development and everything else, and understanding the work of the soul. But what will be interesting is what she will take from this experience. What will add to the beauty of the life, and in life it might end with this cancer, or my life is going to be extended because of understanding what caused it. So it's not only the interaction of the people with our emotion, but the interaction of ourselves with our emotion, which is the biggest problem which man will solve from now on. Death through cancer, death through self-inflicted emotional psychosomatic will become a thing of the past for man. And this will give a new dimension and extension to the life, physical life of the man. Because we will handle these emotions at the outset, not at the end set with the cancer and other things which comes with it. And we'll see, and most probably a lot of people will see more and more. And in these trials, past few weeks, we have seen the effect of the expansion of the soul and change of physicality. And we see it, we've seen it even yesterday and the day before in an amazing way. A gentleman with a Parkinson who could only write one word, and the word diminishes, goes in the system for the flight test and comes out with being able to write 5 sentences without a stop. And he hasn't done that for 10 years. And if you say that to anyone, they say it's impossibilities. But in fact, it's the soul which does the job. It's the expansion of the soul to get ready to fly. Balances a lot of things that the physicality is accepted. You remember when we brought the Chinese guy in a wheelchair and a few days later he was running. We saw this yesterday and the day before in the enhancement center. And the speed which works, the speed which changes. Because the soul can fix the physicality which it created. No medicine can. Now you understand what happened to the Chinese man and the other Chinese who went there. All we had to do was to understand the work of the soul. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
I hope you enjoyed your trip and the experience with it.
Yes, I did enjoy it, but also at the same time, I forgot to tell you that day that, you know, when I went to the unit the first day, because I went to the one that you feel, and I felt the expansion of the soul, you know, because I was sitting in your unit, I didn't get scared because I said, Mr. Keshe said, when the feeling came, I didn't think about anything odd about it. So, but then I realized I had that feeling sometimes, a couple of times at home, but since I didn't know what is happening, I want to get away from it. I said somebody may be attacking me. It wasn't familiar thing for me. So that experience, you know, it teaches something about me. If it's happening, I should allow it to become further, go and expand more. I shouldn't try to distract myself and just say, please go away. So that was a good thing.
I think it was a nice experience for you and your husband. I think he felt it in a different way.
Yes, he did, because he sat in a machine that he could see and feel.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you.
Okay, we had a further question from Steph regarding when do you get the date and where are you needed, and how long does it take with the mobile phone?
What do you mean by that?
I think like she'll sign up on the website, and I think she wants to know when she would be notified, and how long does it take? How long does the process take?
What do you mean by that? How long it says?
Probably, like, is it over several hours, or I think you mentioned a couple of days might have to be set aside.
It all depends how we inform you beforehand, and depends on the condition, how we want to do and how we set things up and how it will be done.
Okay, and she has a further question. Does Mr. Keshe know if you have the right soul for this, Or can it be that he said, no, you're not right for that?
I have no right to decide. Your soul decides. It's a beautiful thing. I just received something for our, what I call, a lot of you who work with Keshe Foundation people, we have a what I call news broadcast room. One of our knowledge seekers fills up all with the latest news all the time. There is not a day you don't get something from her, a few or 10 or 20 things. She just sent something which inspires something. Maybe that's the reason she sent it. It says the world's biggest cruise ship is set to be sold for a scrap before first voyage, as owners go bankrupt. 1.6 billion vessel with things with 20 deck. Very, very interesting. It triggers something very interesting for us. Could we acquire a ship like this to become the center of the world government? A ship with everything, an independent nation that we can float to any nation. It's a very intriguing thought. Would we be able to spend that kind of money, or would it be given for such a purpose? Or it's better to be metal than the purpose, but it's a very nice thing. It's a seed for thought.
What if you could make it fly? I saw that article. I couldn't believe it, that they'd have such a large ship and they were brand new and they were going to totally tear it down into scrap.
Yeah.
Well, they're threatening to do that if they don't get a buyer.
I don't think anybody will go and do that.
It needs some refitting to finish it off, like about $300 million worth, apparently.
Yeah, 1.6 billion.
Mm-hmm.
This is what is it? The American government spends in a day or so for military applications.
It's like buying a country for that much. You like you say, you can move your country or your world organization.
It becomes a very good headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have such a change in your pocket, Mr. Kremlin?
Well,
1.6 billion.
Maybe some of my relatives do, but certainly not me. No relatives that I know.
Oh, we have to ask Mr. Bill Kremlin. He died. We could ask for local Kremlin family.
Yeah, maybe I've got an inheritance there somewhere that I don't know about. Billions of dollars that have been hoarded,
all the Queen's wealth.
Huh? Years. Exactly. Well, some people are actually going for that kind of thing. They're trying to get back the money they paid in interest over their mortgage for 50 years, and saying that the banks took that money and reinvested it. So they should get the interest and capital from all that instead of the banks. So we'll see how successful they are at that.
What is interesting is that, just if you think about what we hear in the news, where is this new Prime Minister of England going to find 130 billion to support the present economical situation with energy and food? We have to understand, what is the population of England? 75 million. If you give 10 euro to each, it's 750. If you give 100, it'll be 7.5. And if you multiply it by 20, which is 2,000 euro per family budget, is about 130 person. I mean, not family, that's 130 billion. But where is this money is going to come from? That the government can guarantee to pay to his nation for 70 million people to take some pressure off the fuel crisis off for the next 18 months. then you understand how much governments have stashed away, or what they're planning to do with what they haven't stashed away, they're trying to take from you. This is part of what we. How much do we pay when we go on the moon if we see the others? Has it got any value? What we call value of money. Few meters above Earth, everything we fight for has no value. You could be there, or your soul is there. There's no value to it. Absolutely no value to it. And what are we fighting for? Any other question?
Okay, we've got several questions in the Q&A here. From Cristiano, one from Alexandra. About this teaching, what put me to think the most is when Mr. Keshe says, with the emotion of the soul, you transmute to any position in the universe. I wonder what this emotion of the soul is, what it is like, in which condition we will reach it. What do we really need to achieve this condition and elevation? Mr. Keshe, your microphone is closed. So.
Yeah, I understand. What about if you say, or if you understand, that you already have it, you denied it. You don't need to reach it. It's already part of you. It's already in you. It's already born with you, and you are because of it. And that's all it is. That's all it needs to be, and that's all it needs. It has to be. That's all you need to understand.
Is it our attachment to the physicality that prevents us from feeling that emotion normally?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you say that this emotion of the soul is present, but we don't recognize it, or we don't pay attention to it, perhaps because our attention's busy with our attachments of the physicality. And I'm thinking that this that we have periodic times through the day that this emotion is available if we don't allow our physicality to just kind of smear everything through as part of the general hubbub of life.
We prioritize. We give priority to our physical dimension, then to our soul dimension. And we've done that from the point of birth. Which one has a priority and which one can do? If we are taught from the establishment of the fetus that there is an option to live both, how would it be? It's very interesting. point that we are aware of it from when we are in the womb of the mother, but we are not aware of it when it comes to physicality. Children hear the parents when they're in the womb of the mother, but the soul feels the soul of the parents. And in extreme cases, we see birth with psychosomatic damages prior or immediately after the birth, which means the soul has gone already through the phase of pain, whatever, and it has already gone through psychosomatic changes. Children with skin disorder, children with digestion disorder, children with a breathing disorder at the point of birth. What I always say, you look at the end product, go back and look to the before end product, what caused it, how much battle has been between the husband and wife, how much battle has been between the environment of the mother in different shape or forms, not necessarily shouting and howling, emotional and the rest of it. You find out you can sort it out straight away if you're in the right position, not by creams or whatever, by elevating the soul of the child, the infant. If a child is created damaged of soul, you will not see so much illness or whatever, because it fits itself. It does itself what it is. A child which is born in a house of love and care, and true love, true care, by both parents in all levels, we see a different character. We see a different physical life, which is a lot of love, but a lot of forces. Who's the boss in the house and everything else, not necessarily shouting. You see the child is always sick, right through the life. Because you touch the soul, she feels it doesn't need to be there physically. And the physicality manifests itself after the life. 90% of the children illnesses in the first years of life all preset in the house in respect to the mother and father and how they're brought up, how they talk, and if it's true love and true understanding. And parents don't understand this. A life which is full of adultery and everything else and is supposed to be perfect gives that kind of conditions of it. The adultery doesn't mean sexually, it means by thoughts, by, oh, he likes this, I do something else, I do something because he doesn't like it, I like to do it, and the rest of it. You see, it's very intriguing for people who understand process of birth. You see, from very beautiful parents, very beautiful children come. What's the reason for it? Genes. But you see, from some beautiful parents come some of the most not desirable children. When a man is happy with a beautiful woman, or a woman is happy with a beautiful, handsome man with him, and are proud of being there, that happiness, that joy creates that happiness within the fetus. And it comes the same, it's a combination of the two. Doesn't mean that other people can't do it, but the same when you see the bride and such, it could be any color, any race, doesn't need to be very handsome, pretty children. Handsome prettiness, beautifulness out of the conduct, out of the physical behavior, physical life, not the beauty of the face. Beauty is the skin deep. And this is what mankind has to understand. We learn a lot with the new understanding of the cycle of life. People more and more understand. And then you understand, I always said that, but it's not a cruel, but if you understand it fully, the true essence of one life child policy of China, if you understood in the level of the soul, to keep that one life, one soul to the point of its maturity to perfection, is more than enough to have one child. Is more than enough. It's like an army to look after the perfection for that single child. One day man will understand. You don't have time for more. But nowadays we get them the best clothes, the best, but we don't nourish their soul. That the best will come from its existence. It's very, very, very interesting how man will change. So, any other question?
We have a hand up with Mehran, but before we get to that, I'd like to address a bit of a long question from Cristiano in the Q&A. So bear with me as I go through this. Says, good morning, Mr. Keshe, and good morning to all present. Mr. Keshe, I was watching the 380th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, where you show a position below the uvula and explain that the higher force field of the air is transferred to the soul of man. Then you explain that the positioning of the mouth and the nose is planned by the soul of man for its own use. Further on, you say that if we create a condition below the uvula, we can expand the soul beyond the physicality. Then I move to the 125th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, where you explain the interaction of two reactors with two nucleus, and then you tell us to go to the first few pages of book 1 with that understanding. And when I read the pages 14 to 15 and 16, you talked about reactor technology, fission and fusion by plasma dilution, where it talks about plasma dilution and the, he says, Columbus barrier. I think he means the
Coulomb's barrier.
Coulomb barrier, yes. Okay, it continues. Then I continued watching the 125th Knowledge Seekers Workshop when you called Douglas from the USA, where he talks about making a reactor with two nuclei, in which he had a copper oxide in the center with water, plasma CO2, plus a drop of his blood, and in the outer ball, CH3 with liquid to elevate the pH. And he talks about the plasma light that he saw when he rotated the balls, and also tells that his wife saw him move in slow motion. So I ask you, this is the question part. At that point, there is a connection between the CH3 carbons of the outer ball and the CO2 carbon in the center. And since hydrogen is lighter than oxygen, it expanded the fields. Was this the result of the plasma dilution and the breaking of the Coulomb barrier, as you talk about in the book?
The breaking of a Coulomb barrier, it creates, releases energy. And that energy is what we see as light. I was explaining yesterday to one of our knowledge seekers, the body of the man, energy within the body of the man is equal to 18 Hiroshima bombs. And if you calculate roughly how many cells are in the body of the man and how much that energy was, then you can find out the energy of each cell. And then each atom, which combination of this work has made that cell. But it's not just that energy which creates the light, it's the speed You release that energy into another environment that the friction of releases the light. And this is part that a lot of knowledge seekers, again, don't understand. Is no when you release a nuclear bomb, there's no harm done. It's just a massive energy. Unless and until it hits your body, and that energy is counted, what effects will have on you, how much it enlightens you, how much will move cells within your body, and how much other things can happen with it. So it's not how you connected the carbon or what was the energy, it's how you manage to release with what speed that one. So we see this as part of the work. And how we create that speed of release. And sometimes you can do it by stripping it, sometimes bring it by collision, or sometimes do it by all sorts of movement. And how we understand it. And you might not see the light as a visual light, but you might see the light as a soul level, because that light still comes from interaction of fields. Coulomb's barrier is another skin on the structure of the onion. There is more inside it as you peel one shell to the other and to the other. I've just been told that the universal picture, the twins, has already been sold. So it's only the other one left. You got to understand that the collection of fields and their interactions creates, and how much you can add and what you can strip, which releases. And this is part of the work which we are busy with, and understanding of it will create a lot of mayhem for a lot of knowledge seekers. Any other question?
Okay, let's get to Mehran here. Go ahead, Mehran.
Yes, thank you, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm glad that knowledge seekers are taking part in the research, and I hope one day it would be my turn. So, now that you answered the questions about the physical problems related to souls, if you permit, I have a question which it's a long time I wanted to ask, but I didn't permit myself. It's about a person who is born with the part of the eye, the nervous system in the eye, the nerves of the eye don't work from the birth. And even though the father is doctor, they couldn't say what it was. And only that mother had fever maybe for a few days. So this person is a complete adult, a very gentle, extraordinary memory he could have with his eyes, which are very little capacity, get a postdoctorate in abstract mathematics, and he remembers everything he reads, and very human, very outside the standard norm kind person. And now he's adult, he's getting old, and I wanted to know, first of all, what does it have to do with the soul of the parents or environment at birth? Does it have anything to do with that? Or is it just an accident? And is it just by something in this person who wanted to show, even with these eyes, can do something? And if there is something in future to do with the people who have low eye capacities to do things with their mind or soul or brain, is there any future betterment for these people when they get older?
It's a combination of everything. It's a combination. We got to understand, if I can go deeper, because we have to understand it.
Thank you.
Some people might say it's cruel, but
No.
it's the reality of it. It's a combination of all what you said, plus the interaction, the fields of the souls in the dimension of physicality of their forefathers. The way yes. we look at the eye of a child and says, oh, it looks like the grandmother. Grandmother used to have this color of eyes or this color of hair and this kind of hair. Yeah?
Well,
so it is a collection. That's why they say, Baha'u'llah Blessed's name said something very, very interesting. He says, pray for your children 20 years before they were born, before they are conceived. And most of the people in the Iranian culture and Middle Eastern culture used to get married at 10 and 11. It means the grandparents have to pray for the grandchildren to be born, not alone the parents. And this is what we say, go back to understanding of the true life of Mitra. When you, as a great-grandfather, great-grandmother, don't say wrong, don't do, act wrong, don't do wrong or think wrong. So, and your child learns from you, that perfect child to be born, the grandchild or great-grandchild, is still perfect because it's there. Condition of the environment is there to interact. But you create a perfect soul that with it will use that imperfection to become the source of elevation of the others. We are here to serve and not to be served at every level. You understand? And yes. This is what we say, what did they do? Was it? No, go back. If you inherited the color of the eye of the great-grandmother, so you did her sins. And so you did her beautiful work.
Yes.
It's not exclusivity. It's inclusivity of all. That's why when a race all work the same way, do good and do everything else correct, the society becomes correct. Then what do you expect? There is a understanding of the totality, which is the biggest problem. We always look at the individuality in single positions and phases. We don't look at the total.
Does it Well, I thought that he is both sides from military family.
Matter military family, who did they kill, or what did they do, who they supported? Doesn't go what you did. It depends. I mean, what kind of job you come from, the background is what was the outcome of the effect on the soul of those who you touched. I was talking to a world leader some times ago. Very, very influential world leader. And his words were very, very touching, but his understanding of separation from it was, in a way, very touching too. As the head of the state, the last say if somebody is sentenced to execution goes to him or to head of the state. He said, I cannot carry such a burden. So I have put a group, they decide that I don't have to carry if there is a mistake in judgment. That I do not bring that problem into my bloodline by killing someone who's innocent. And it shows how far this man has thought about even his action will affect his future generation. And this is how we should live. I admire his work. I've done a lot of work around him with him. And it's amazing how, as somebody who never had to work in his life, is born and bred with a silver spoon in his mouth, as we say. And he could have anything, any man dreams, but as a head of a state, he does not want to carry the burden of his judgment that he might touches his future generation. And this is how man should be. And then why do the grandchildren and children come with what they come? And the great-grandchildren, and God knows the whole race or whatever which comes from them. Any other question?
We have several more questions here, Mr. Keshe, and a hand up with Stefania. I also wanted to know if you wanted to play the video of Joel Richard, the grapes video. If you still wanted to play that as well, how would you like to proceed?
Yes, why not? Is Joel online himself that he can explain? Do you see him? I put the pictures of the two paintings which is done there in Uno Center. They send you a couple. One is already booked and sold. I think it's this one. Maybe it's the universal one. The other one is still available. Let me see if we see Joel. Yeah, he's here. He's with us. Let him explain the background to this video and then we show the video. Joel, thank you very much for being with us. Would you like to explain the background to this work, what we're going to see, please?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Joel. Thank you very much for your hard work over years.
Thank you.
Thank
First, I just want to thank Yvonne, Mark, and Rick to have sent to you this video. And thank you, Mr. Keshe, for bringing us the technology and encouraging me to shoot this video. So we have done it last year from March to...
Could you give us a background, who you are, what you do, where you are, please?
Oh, yes. I am a knowledge seeker living in France, in southwest of France, near Bordeaux. And I am studying with you during 4 years. and I try to help many farmers in agriculture, and I spend the technology in France from east to west, and we are going from Bretagne to Marseille every month to spread this technology. So near our town, we have many vineyards, and last year we decided with you, it's you who have give the idea of this video, and we have shoot it from March to September, and during all this period, we have shooted every 50 days with drone and camera to show you how the ganses were able to protect and facilitate to the growing of the grapes. Sorry for my English. Do you understand me?
I think your
Yes,
English is pretty good.
So carry on, explain to us what we would see in this video, please.
During we have started 3 years ago. 3 years ago, and it was at the beginning. We have only one parcel to experiment these ganses, and after the first season, we have seen that all the grapes were very in good health, and they didn't add no disease during all the season. In vineyard, we have many problems with several disease, and for this parcel, nothing. So we have continued one season again and again and again, and today we are harvesting now in 2022, and we have no problem this season. The harvests are beautiful, despite the weather with freezing on the beginning of the year, and the big heat were of July and August. So if you want, you can, Rick, you can play the video if Mr. Keshe is okay.
We are perfect with it. It's just that we needed some explanation. It's not just a video, but people understand the whole thing behind it. Rick, would you like to play the video? It's about 18 minutes.
Yes, and just to let people know, it is in French, and but it does have the English subtitles as well. Okay, let me just double check here, and here we go.
French language, but subtitles are in English.
Merci.
Okay?
Thank you.
Au service de l'agriculture. La création de champs plasmatiques est réalisée à partir de ganses qui sont judicieusement placés sur le terrain afin de dépolluer, de nourrir et faire fructifier les plantes. Le principe est simple. Il s'appuie sur la physique quantique et plus particulièrement sur le fait que le champ le plus fort nourrit le champ le plus faible. Pour créer cette dynamique, on joue sur les volumes de ganses qui remplissent soit des sphères dans le cas de petites surfaces comme les jardins, soit des anneaux destinés à de grandes exploitations. On équipe les anneaux ou les sphères avec des ganses choisis pour leurs vertus. Par exemple, on n'utilise pas le ganse de CuO pour dépolluer les sols, le ganse de CO2 pour stabiliser les cultures et l'associer avec le ganse de CH3 pour limiter l'apport hydrique. Les ganses sont actifs dès leur mise en place et le processus dynamique ne cesse de grandir pour arriver à une stabilité sphérique après plusieurs semaines. Dans le cas des parcelles de vignes, compte tenu des produits phytosanitaires utilisés par le passé, nous avons positionné des anneaux de ganse CuO de telle manière qu'il y ait entre eux la dynamique des champs et que ces champs couvrent la totalité du terrain pour dépolluer. Ces ganses ont été complétés par ceux de CO2 et de CH3 afin que les plantes puisent dans ces ressources pour arriver à maturité dans les meilleures conditions. Enfin, les vignes ont besoin d'apports très spécifiques, toujours fournis par les champs des ganses, tels que le bore et le soufre. La répartition des anneaux est étudiée afin que l'interaction dynamique des champs plasmatiques fonctionne des plus forts vers les plus faibles, en combinant anneaux faibles et anneaux forts. Par exemple, en un seul point de pause, il y a un cumul de 5 anneaux, 2 anneaux forts de bore et de soufre entre 3 anneaux faibles de CuO, CO2 et CH3, l'inverse étant réalisé sur l'anneau suivant. La vidéo qui suit présente l'application de la technologie plasma sur 2 sites. Tout d'abord un vignoble en entre-deux-mers, puis une oliveraie en Gironde, constituée d'arbres brûlés au cours d'un incendie dans le sud de la France et replantés dans le sud-ouest. Commençons par les parcelles de vignobles en test. Cette vue aérienne montre les 2 parcelles équipées des anneaux de ganse. La parcelle 1 est dans sa 3e saison d'essai et la parcelle 2 est testée depuis 2 ans en tenant compte des résultats de la parcelle 1. Elle est aussi équipée des anneaux de ganse. Ces 2 parcelles sont en cabernet franc. Nous sommes le 23 avril 2021, quelques jours après les 2 nuits d'un gel très violent qui a détruit un grand pourcentage de vignes dans le Bordelais. Comme on peut le voir, le gel n'a pas eu d'effet sur les vignes de ces parcelles. Les anneaux sont répartis dans les rangs de vignes comme présenté dans les schémas décrits précédemment. Ils ont été posés au mois de janvier afin d'être opérationnels pour l'arrivée des premières feuilles. On remarque l'excellent état de santé des pieds, car les jeunes feuilles sont très nombreuses. Y compris sous cette 3e parcelle de cépage merlot, qui est beaucoup plus fragile que le cabernet franc. À partir du mois de mai, alors que la météo était favorable malgré le gel du mois d'avril, des pluies intenses se sont abattues sur la région, favorisant ainsi l'arrivée des maladies. Comme nous avons pu le constater, aucune maladie n'a affecté les vignes pendant cette période. Préventivement, les réserves d'eau de la propriété ont aussi été dépolluées par la mise en place dans les réservoirs de sphères de ganse CuO et CO2. Ainsi, le peu de traitement réalisé pendant ce mois de mai n'a pas affecté la santé des vignes. Ils ont plutôt propagé les champs plasmatiques des ganses. D'autres viticulteurs, ayant déjà subi les dégâts du haut gel, ont traité à outrance pour tenter de sauvegarder leur future récolte. Nous voici à Triac, sur les coteaux de la Dordogne. Cette oliveraie, c'est plutôt une infirmerie pour des arbres qui ont été brûlés dans les incendies de 2016 dans le sud de la France. Ils ont été sauvés du broyage. Un convoi parti de Gironde les a récupérés et ils ont été replantés en lieu et place de vignes dans une parcelle escarpée. Ces 123 spécimens ont végété pendant 4 ans, jusqu'à leur rencontre avec la technologie plasma de M. Keshe. Plusieurs ganses ont été placées dans des sphères et des anneaux pour les aider dans leur convalescence. L'agencement pour ce type d'intervention est toujours le même. Il est basé sur le principe du champ le plus fort qui nourrit le champ le plus faible. Alors, petit à petit, les choses se sont améliorées. Pour certains d'entre eux, des juvéniles ou des adultes, l'épreuve du feu a été très handicapante. Plus de système foliaire, des troncs noircis, seul le système racinaire aidé par les ganses a pu remonter les fonctions vitales de ces arbres. Il a fallu près d'1 an, après l'implantation des ganses, pour que les premières fleurs apparaissent. L'année dernière, plus de 50 kg d'olives sont ainsi partis au pressoir. Nous voici déjà le 9 juin 2021, et cette promenade dans les rangs de la parcelle 1 nous conforte dans l'état de santé des vignes. Les feuilles sont extraordinairement belles, avec beaucoup de relief et de brillance, dû aux acides aminés de la plante. Les anneaux veillent à cet équilibre. Et la fleur de la vigne apparaît comme un instant de transformation magique. Du côté de la parcelle de Merlot, la dernière équipée en anneaux de ganse, tout est au beau fixe. Elle est à gauche sur cette vue aérienne et il y a déjà une coloration différente par rapport à la parcelle du voisin, à droite sur la prise de vue. Dans cette parcelle aussi, les ganses font un travail remarquable, tout comme le propriétaire des lieux qui veille au nettoyage des rangs de vignes. Fin juin, de gros orages éclatent et le 1er juillet, un nouveau survol des parcelles 1 et 2 nous rassure quant aux éventuels dégâts. Les grappes sont bien là, sous la protection des anneaux. Les grains ne sont pas abîmés malgré cette météo incertaine. Voici les pieds de vigne non protégés par les ganses, mais traités très faiblement avec l'eau chargée des champs plasmatiques de CO et CO2. La rotation de la caméra montre les pieds de vigne protégés par les ganses. On remarque tout de suite la différence de vivacité et les différences de couleur. Tout va pour le mieux, malgré les intempéries, dans ce magnifique environnement. Nous sommes le 21 août 2021. Cette nouvelle vue aérienne montre des parcelles en pleine forme. Tout va bien, malgré un temps variable et des températures en dessous des normales saisonnières. Les grappes de raisin ont une évolution normale. La parcelle 3 en merlot est elle aussi dans le même état. Cette parcelle est entourée de vignes et d'autres propriétés qui traitent leurs parcelles avec des produits chimiques. En étant attentif aux vues, on voit bien la différence de couleur ainsi que l'état des rangs de vignes. Ce voisinage difficile est contenu et maîtrisé grâce au champ plasmatique des ganses protecteurs. Déplaçons-nous dans une parcelle traitée. Cette image figée montre les dégâts et leur progression malgré les traitements chimiques. Malheureusement, les récoltes de ces parcelles ne seront pas celles attendues, tant en qualité qu'en quantité. Dans les parcelles équipées des anneaux, les grappes sont généreuses. Quelques-unes d'entre elles semblent même remercier les anneaux et leurs ganses. Nous sommes au mois de septembre, à quelques semaines des vendanges. Certains propriétaires sont déjà prêts à récolter, car la météo des prochains jours n'est pas très bonne. En attendant, les vignes sous l'influence des champs plasmatiques des ganses mûrissent sans problème, même si la cicadelle, insecte qui aime bien la vigne, montre sa présence, car les bords des feuilles sont marrons. La cicadelle marque son territoire, mais ce sera sans conséquence pour le raisin. Mais ce n'est pas la même chose chez les voisins. La vigne traitée n'est pas en bonne santé, et la situation empire au fil des jours. Voici le type de machine, filmée en début de saison, qui est utilisée par le voisinage et qui répand les traitements chimiques. Les résultats sont sans commentaire. Nous voici arrivés au temps des vendanges. C'est la dernière séquence pour la vigne et la première pour le traitement du raisin. La vendangeuse est une belle mécanique qui récolte les grains en laissant la rafle de côté. La vigne a fait son travail de génitrice, aidée plus que jamais cette année par les ganses et l'eau soumise au champ des ganses CuO et CO2. La récolte durera plusieurs jours pour se retrouver dans le lieu de stockage. Les graines de raisin commencent le circuit et leur transformation. Les anneaux sont implantés depuis 3 ans sur la parcelle 1, depuis 2 ans sur la parcelle 2 et seulement depuis cette année sur la parcelle 3, en merlot, cépage fragile qui a traversé les épreuves climatiques et les agressions parasites grâce à la bienveillance de leurs propriétaires ainsi que celle des anneaux de ganse. Un grand merci pour ces 3 belles saisons.
Thank you very much, Joel. That was nice. Could you explain to us, because the thing was going too fast, what was the outcome of the harvest compared to the natural one? That others who don't see the video, they can understand it. People who just listen to the voice recording. Are you there?
Just had to enable his talking there. You should be able to open your microphone now, Joel.
Hello?
Yes.
Do you understand me?
Yes.
My internet link is broken, so I am with my iPhone. I didn't understood what Mr. Keshe said.
What I said was that because a lot of people listen to this as a recording, they don't see the video, or they just listen to MP3 of it.
Okay.
Can you tell us what was the outcome? What was the difference at the harvest? Increase or reduction in quality or the quantity or the color or whatever?
When you do wine yards, we have laboratories which are testing the vine, the grapes during all the season. And of course, we have a criteria of quality, of quantity, of sugar in the grapes, and all is is very, very good. We have no problem with that, and all the harvest is in abundance. Many grapes, with many grapes.
Yes, but was the harvest more, or is it the same?
Yes, it was a very more.
How much? What percentage?
150%.
So 1.5 times more harvest. And
yes.
What's the quality? You had no diseases during the trial?
No disease, and the quality is
very high.
Yes.
Okay, but how much does it cost compared to the chemical side?
Oh, chemical on these parcels cost 80,000 euros per season.
Yeah. And how much does your system cost?
Nothing, Mr. Keshe.
No, I mean, you still have to buy the pipe. You still have to.
Yes, but 200 euros, perhaps, maybe.
And how much do they need to pay attention to? One of the problems we have with agriculture, especially with like seeds, wheat, rice, and the rest, to continuously keeping the system, the vegetation growing with the feeding with gases is very difficult. And they just give up after about 3-4 weeks, and then it comes back to the beginning. But how do they manage it? How often do they have to look after this system, the gases and the rest? Or is it once they put it at the beginning of the season and that's it?
Oh no, I put it in January, and I am looking at them every month.
But you go and fill them up? You go and fill them up with gases?
No. I don't have, because many of them, majority of the rings are 4 years old now. You know, and I have took several of them and come back in my laboratory, and all the GANs are staying. No problem with that. No problem. But we have definitively stopped with the sphere, with the
rotating the sphere.
Yes. We are only using
pipes,
rings. Yes.
Rings. Okay, can I add something here? Keshe Foundation, hopefully for this next year, coming up season, will introduce a new kind of agriculture. The way we've done at the moment, we are busy with the flights and everything else which is going on. Or it's something we've done, but then you don't need to harvest or to put rings on anymore. New technology will be introduced. We already developed it, it's just we don't have time to bring it out in the market or to show it. But this we developed because a lot of seed growers like wheat and the rest need that to be benefited all the time. We explained in a couple of teachings before, and I know our friend in Australia and others in Canada were looking at other aspects. But this will not need any more watering or changing. You totally handle it a different new way. You change the whole environment as a whole, not just a specific. And you can change the harvest. I mean, if this year you want a slightly different kind of grapes, you can change the environment for that grapes, not the same as last year. You understand? So it's very nice. But how many farms are you looking after now? Or is it how many?
In France, we have many vineyards in Bordeaux, and now we have farmers in Bretagne. Bretagne is in the west of France, and we have farmers we are using for vegetables, and they have beautiful results, very beautiful results with more harvest than before. Yes.
Well, okay, that's beautiful. Thank you very much. I'll leave it if there's anybody else wants to ask a question.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank
you for what you do for us.
Thank you very much. But it's beautiful what you've done, and you put years of work into it to show the change. And it's amazing what knowledge seekers are doing around the world in their own field of work.
Oh yes, I am. I thank you very much, and I can help everybody.
Thank you very much. If there are any questions, please ask. Rick,
There
do you
was
see any question?
Let me see. There was a couple of questions in the chat here. Let me just find it here. There was a couple of questions that Joel had answered in the chat.
Yes.
About the GANS rings. Do they have only GANS water? And you said no, not only plasma water. We need solid GANs to stabilize the energy flow.
Yes.
And Nikolai said, do you also put in amino acids? And you mentioned no to that as well. And there is a link in the chat for a better quality video. So that's good to see. And
yes, I have put the link for the best criteria results of video.
Yes, thank you. And a couple of good comments for thanking you, and bravo, Joel. And Hassan has a comment. The wine smell, taste, and effect may take us to other parts of the universe, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe you'll have a special wine, the galactic wine or something. You could have a special name for it.
Have you followed the wine sold? How do the people who consume it feel like?
Yes, we have begun now, because 2019 harvest is now in bottle, and they have tasted it. It's very, very beautiful.
But how does it feel? How do people feel when they drink? Because I remember, if I remember correctly, Lisa and Jim did some studies in the supermarket, and they saw people buying more of their products.
All the products is sold now.
Oh. Follow and see who drinks it. How they feel.
Yes.
If the drunkenness is more pleasurable the next morning after drinking a bottle, or is it the same as before?
I hope so.
Yeah. And somebody says, how can we buy a bottle of wine? These wines, you have to.
I will send you, Mr. Keshe. I will send you some bottles if you want.
Yes, but we need the name of the brand they're asking for, that they can ask for.
Okay.
If you give us the name of the brand, they can buy, and we'll see what knowledge. If you can get the knowledge seekers drunk with it. But
all the harvest is sold now.
I know, but under what name?
We have no. It's Chateau Luby.
Chateau Luby. Okay. Let's see if they can find it and tell us what's happening with it. Thank you very much for the hard work. I know you're not going to stop.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
and your
Rick.
wife.
Thank you. Thank you
very
all.
much. Thanks both of you for such a hard work.
One question
Mr.
from
Keshe.
Mehran is, does he keep the tubes in a star formation or what other form? And I took this picture out of the video. Is this the formation that you use, or is this just a demonstration?
No. It's what I use, and the field, the weakest feeds the strongest. It's also it's all. We have no star formation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a years of work in 18 minutes. It's not justifying it.
Sorry for my English, Mr. Keshe, and all the people. Sorry.
Thank you very much. It was beautiful. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. It's a long, long time since we have shown the work of the knowledge seekers. I hope a lot of us enjoyed and understand it, and I know a lot of people would use it, and we'll see what becomes. Thank you very much, Joel. Is there anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you indeed. Thanks for your time. Are there any other questions in respect to the other parts or this part?
Okay, I don't see any more questions. Mehran says, is it a pyramidal form? Is it the form of a pyramid? She's still trying to find the form of the...
right, no. The grapes don't decide how they grow, do they? In pyramids or not. It's just how you distribute the fields. As I said, this week we're trying to show the new enhancement unit due to new developments in what do you call it, the knowledge and extension of it. We try to do it next week, hopefully, and where we show the both production of the gas and the energy unit. We will put a cap on the sales of the generators very soon, that we can do work with other sites. People who place the order, please complete it. I know a lot of people are trying to get it done one minute another. And those people who wanted to do the enhancement unit for Moon and Mars, please complete this, because we would like to start the preparation now, that we have you ready for the January, February. This might include even to bring you to Linz a couple of times to preset, to structure it the correct way for the what we call the moon testing. It's just that we bring everything together ready, that when it comes to January, February, when we start testing, we have a full, what we call, everything done in expansion of the soul, we're understanding, you knowing what to do. And don't forget, we try to bring this extension between 3 to 5 days. And it's not going to be you walking in and just taking the flight. In the future, it will be, but for present time, in a way, we would like to prepare the ground for it. And we want to start in September, October, to prepare you for that final, what I call, transmutation test. Please complete your forms and the rest of it, which is connected to it. We had a knowledge seeker ask us, can I pay half of it now and half of it prior to flight? Yes, it can be done. And please understand, you enter a new space technology where you won't take you hours to get to them. It's instantaneous. And then we want to monitor what changes. After you come back, what monitors? We want to monitor what happens. The same as now we monitor with some of the people who went through the enhancement units in past few weeks. We're monitoring how they respond, what they do, and how things has changed around them. And as we develop better,
We want to understand how the process works and how everything around us can be changed, can be affected. And we'll see how things turn up in the coming weeks and days. And we will literally explain to you as we go. This knowledge, as is learned, is shared, and no technology has ever been shared like this before. You see the patterns 3 years, 5 years to come out, and then new limitation or whatever. Knowledge shared, literally, step by step, day by day, amongst all of us, by all of us for each other. Thank you very much for today, Rick. And I hope those who buy the painting or bought the painting enjoy it and let us know exactly how it feels and what it brings to them. Thank you for today, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. And those who have any questions left over can bring them into next week's workshop. What are other announcements? Oh, we have on Monday, we have the Testimonials meeting. And that's our monthly meeting for people to give their testimonial of the plasma technology. And we look forward to people offering their experience in that workshop. And that starts at, let me get it straight, that's at the 8 p.m. Central European time, and that's on Monday. Let me get the date. That'd be Monday, September 12th, starting at 8 p.m. Central European time. So please attend that. It's a good opportunity also for people to pay back for the plasma technology by sharing with others. Okay, thank you everybody for being part of the 449th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 8th, 2022. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for delivering yet another workshop here in this Knowledge Seekers series. And we look forward to speaking with you next week, same time and place. Okay, bye for now, everyone. We'll go out with our flight enhancement spaceship unit with the music version, and we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop.